Welcome to the Common Geeking Program, a book club podcast where each episode, 3 of us read up on a topic, then discuss it from geeky, nerdy perspectives. This week, I am your host, Edward Ryan, and our topic is going to be revealed after our first ad read. We'd like to thank the sponsor of this week's episode, $1,000 Toothpaste Club. For all your bathroom needs, they have toothpaste. You start to sign up for just a $1,000 beginner package. And they have all kinds of bathroom stuff. They have nose wipes, they have ear scrapers, and they have toothpaste. So go over to $1,000 Toothpaste Club /CGP and use our offer code to pay an extra 10% at checkout.
Well, you'll also get free shipping.
And you will get free shipping to West Virginia only. All right,
That's
so
like
this
a whole
week's
other country.
topic, thank you for listening to the ad read. That is how we keep the show running. So this week's topic is going to be One Punch Man, and we will be discussing parody. I'm joined by 2 people, each of whom has selected a domain they think connects to our topic and theme this week, and they are...
Hi, it's me, Ken. I will be discussing Yu Yu Hakusho, which is not a parody anime, but it is a fighting anime. And I have some things to say about One Punch that...
Are we gonna have some fighting words going on here? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I just got some things to say about One Punch, mostly annoyances. If I really want to talk about, like, the fact that it's a parody, I would talk about Kill la Kill, which I probably will as well.
Okay.
Just a heads up. Which is also an anime.
And this week is very special as we have a celebrity guest here with us. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Alan Rickman.
You want me to go with Alan Rickman?
No, I thought you were just going to be Pat Brem, but I'm saying you're a celebrity guest.
Hello, I'm Snape.
You're also
secretly not evil. Sorry, rest in peace, Alan Rickman. I love you.
Rest in peace, Alan Rickman. We loved you. You mean no?
Alan Rickman. Boom. He's gonna find us.
Oh shit!
You summoned him.
Anyway, it's your boy, Pat. I'm gonna be talking about Letterkenny, which is a fantastic show, and it is very much a parody. First, we want to give a shout out to our Patreon subscribers and donators. You're amazing. We love you. Especially you, Skinny Pete. Love you,
Skinny Pete.
Skinny Pete, obviously one of our top donators, so we say his name at the beginning of the show. But all of our $600 and up donators, your names will be read out at the end of the show, so stick around for that.
We got you.
All right, and we're going to start today
gets.
by summarizing our topic and domains before we openly discuss. Finally, we'll close with a competitive rating section to determine who best contributed and whether today's topic was enjoyable. The host will use this section to summarize their topic and theme, as they should be discussed throughout the episode. Oh, I wasn't supposed to read that. All right, so the topic that I brought for us today, gentlemen, was One Punch Man.
Insert theme song. One Punch! Right
I'm
here.
a big fan of that anime opening trope.
Oh, the theme song is amazing. So,
I get that shit stuck in my head so easily. I want
so
to put it on my
good.
phone.
'Cause it's great.
Not
It's
on Apple Music.
Power, get the power.
Well, it's
So
also
good.
kind of
the
what.
Japanese version because I'm not a scrub who watches
Yeah.
dubbed anime.
Well, I mean,
They say power in English.
Yeah,
in the
they also say
Japanese
One
version.
Punch. Which also I think the real reason why it's so good is because every time it uses his One Punch, you kind of want to do that. Just go One Punch.
Hero.
Yeah. So continue. Sorry.
All right, yes. So, One Punch Man is
Hero.
what I had you guys watch. So I had, and I wanted to talk about One Punch Man as a parody, which it is. It's a parody of a couple of different.
Way.
It's a parody of a couple of different things. So
You mean the very first thing that we see is like not supposed to be Piccolo with fucking tentacles on his head
No
and
way.
colored purple?
But that was the first thing that we see. I thought the first thing we see
Yeah.
was the crab guy.
No, even before that shit.
Oh, you're right.
I could have sworn the very first scene is it literally just zooms in on some dude who looks exactly like Piccolo,
But purple.
but purple.
So, so it is a parody of, in some regard, fighting anime, being things like Dragon Ball Z and
Naruto,
and so I guess shonen anime in general.
Yeah.
But it's also a parody kind of superheroes, both Western and Eastern, and those genres. So we'll talk about a couple of things in that regard. So to summarize quickly, One Punch Man, you have your main character Saitama, who is One Punch Man. He's so strong that he can defeat any enemy with one punch. So the episode.
What do you mean
Seriously, any enemy? One
Yeah,
punch.
I just want to make clear to listeners. I don't think you understand. It's literally one punch. It's not even. It's never a question. It's never like, oh man, is he going to be able to do it? No, every single time.
And so I had you guys watch a couple things. I know Pat went a little above and beyond.
The show was just so good. I wasn't expecting to like it so much.
Yeah, he went a little above and beyond and watched a lot of episodes. But I had you guys watch the first 2 episodes and also 9th episode, 8th episode. What was it?
8th and 9th.
8th and 9th.
Oh, so I had you watch 4 episodes.
Which was the fight with
the
Deep Sea side. Just a quick question, Eddie. Did you ever read the webcomic or the manga?
I never read it. No, I've only watched it. I watched the sub and the dub.
I think Netflix only has the sub, so I can't even watch the dub if I wanted to.
Dude, I hate that. Netflix has so many subs, especially when there's some really great dubs that I don't understand why it's not even available. But anyway,
I just don't watch enough anime to warrant getting a Crunchyroll account yet. So,
dude, I watch anime most of the time. I ain't buying Crunchyroll. I'm sorry. Screw you, Crunchyroll. Get out of my face.
Get on my face.
You hear that, Crunchyroll?
So,
now it's a perfect time to go into our other ad read for Crunchyroll.
Fuck you, Crunchyroll.
Buy Crunchyroll. They paid us money to say this. Buy Crunchyroll. That's
Crunchyroll. They paid us money to say this.
They paid us money to say this. Boom. Cool. Thanks.
Which is most of Crunchyroll's fucking promos. Can we acknowledge that for a quick second? It's literally, oh, hey, they, half the time it's not even people I imagine watch anime. They're just like, yo, Crunchyroll. I'm like, oh, okay. But anyway, continue, Eddie.
Yes, so it is...
It's about One Punch.
Yes, so I had you watch the first 2 episodes, which kind of gets you... The first episode gets you Saitama, One Punch Man's origin story. And also you get to see kind of display of his power. And then the second episode, we get introduced to Genos, who is his disciple. And what I like about Genos so much in this show is that he's kind of like the archetypal anime main character. He has a tragic backstory and he's always improving to try to get better. He's got an arch nemesis,
who's a ninja. It's
well, no, his arch nemesis is a cyborg that killed his family.
The cyborg that killed his family. Yeah,
I thought his arch.
And then he's got a doctor, or not a doctor, but a scientist who constantly upgrades him and gets him new tech.
Yeah. So sorry, 1 second. So Genos is our kind of normal anime main character, and then you have Saitama, who is actually the main character of One Punch Man, and he is so much stronger and more powerful than Genos without really trying.
Yeah.
And so the other thing I had you guys watch was a short clip of an episode where Saitama reveals the secret to his power.
It's so funny.
And what it is
spoilers.
And I'm sure they'll edit in the clip here, but I'll say it anyway. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run every single day. And
you can't use the air conditioning in the summer or the heat in the winter
to strengthen your mind.
That's all you need.
I trained so hard I became bald.
I trained so hard I lost all my hair.
That's the real thing.
And it's that's obviously some pretty intense training, but it's not become god level, defeat every enemy with one punch level training. But at the same
time,
and that's kind of
that's just normal strength training. It's not even that hard. I was like, that's pretty fucking hard, man.
Well, yeah, I
can't do that.
Think about someone who is really fit. That's not that much,
I guess. I don't know.
That's a professional athlete training. That's not
I think you'd be very shocked at how many professional athletes can't do 100 fucking push-ups in a row.
Yeah, push-ups are kind of... Dude, I know a bunch of people who
either way,
can
like
barely do
the
10.
point of it is that it
They're
is,
fit.
it's not
It's not what you would expect.
What Genos does for his training, or what any of the other superheroes do for their training.
Yeah, it's definitely not something that you would think would make it so that you can punch literally anything.
Also, after only 1 year.
After a year and a half, of training.
It's not even like he was like, yes, after when I turned, 20, after 20 years
kind of the
training.
joke on that is that it's like, in a lot of animes and stuff, you have all these like elaborate like training sequences and stuff. Like in Dragon Ball Z, they go into the hyperbolic time chamber.
So fucking stupid.
So that they could get 10 years worth of training in a year or something.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they always come out of really well adjusted. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
10 years in an empty white space with just like one other person to talk to,
and they never murder each other in there. It's crazy.
Right? No, it's crazy.
So then the other episodes that I had you guys watch were the Deep Sea King saga, which are my favorite episodes because of Moomin Rider, the cyclist for justice.
You mean Licenseless Driver Man? I love that.
He is phenomenal.
I think
that's another thing where you have it all builds up. So the Deep Sea King comes out of the ocean. He's a big fish man, and he's just defeating all the heroes left and right.
Even an S-Class hero. S-Class was the top tier.
Yeah, he's defeating the top tier heroes, and no one can stop him. Genos can't stop him.
He might have been able to if he didn't take that acid shot for the little girl, but
he might have had a shot, but
yeah.
But so, the Moomin Rider, the cyclist for justice, shows up. He's been riding his bike to get here for 2 whole episodes at this point.
Not fatigued at all, by the way.
He's a tank. He's in great
shape. Fucking athlete right there.
And he gives this amazing, empowered speech, and this whole crowd gets behind him. They're like, "You can do it, Moomin Rider!" And he's just a normal dude. And he goes at the Deep Sea King with, Justice Crash, yeah. And
this is my favorite fucking part.
He goes at the Deep Sea King with everything he's got, and just gets pushed aside, basically.
But, he parodies the part where every single fucking anime character always has a signature move that they announce the name of before they use it.
Yeah.
And he's always just like, bicycle crash of justice, tackle of justice. It's always of justice, no matter
so
what
good,
it is.
Yeah. And that's the thing. So you have all these characters that are like archetypal anime characters, and the ones that kind of and none of them are as powerful. Saitama, who is this parodic character in nature. I mean, you even have the Puri Puri Prisoner, who is a magical girl anime trope, but he is a large, homosexual
He's a burly man. Yeah.
He made me a little uncomfortable sometimes, I'll be honest.
Who is a felon.
He's also a felon
prison,
for man love, right, or something?
Yeah. No, I think for inappropriately touching other men, other superheroes.
But he's in prison, breaks out of prison to try to beat this
the Deep Sea King,
and then gets his ass handed to him, just like the rest of the heroes. But I think the most pertinent thing about Saitama to me is the fact that he just does this because he's bored.
Yeah,
he also needs a job.
He trained to become a hero because he wanted excitement and adventure, and then after a year and a half of doing, extraneous but ultimately not God-making workouts, he's now so powerful that nothing can excite him.
Yeah, so he has it once.
He has dreams, that are amazing and glorious about an enemy that he can't beat with one punch, and it makes him so happy that he wakes up really sad.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
And there's even later on in the series, and I didn't have you guys watch the finale. There's an enemy that shows up, an alien called the Dominator of the Universe.
I thought his name was Boros.
That might be his name, but that's his title, is the Dominator of the Universe. And he has the same problem as Saitama. He defeats every enemy with one hit.
Ooh.
And so he's bored, and so he's come to find an enemy that can give him a challenge. And so Saitama fights him, and they're hitting each other, and neither of them are dying. I'm going to spoil it. Yeah, it's the spoilers. And then in the very end, sorry, Pat, Saitama punches him, wrecks his whole shop, and Boros, he talks to Saitama, he's like, you could have done that the whole time. I was no match for you at all, was I? Saitama's like, I wanted to give you a good fight before you died.
Well, now there's no point in me even watching.
Actually, yeah, that
Yeah, that's the spoiler. You can cut that out of the episode, but I wanted to tell Pat Keenan about that.
I've read Beyond Boros.
All right, well, I haven't read it. So anyway, so that's kind of a brief summary of One Punch Man. We kind of rambled around. That can probably be edited together pretty coherently, though. I think we hit on a lot of good points. It's a parody of fighting anime and of superheroes, and Saitama is so powerful that that's kind of the joke, is that in all of these things, there's always this like power creep. Goku always gets stronger because there's always a more powerful enemy.
Then he just goes into the hyperbolic chamber and trains and gets even more
exactly.
powerful.
No, sorry. He just gets his ass beat and then he gets stronger because he's slightly angrier this time, I guess. And then he pulls out some random color and that's his new Super Saiyan or something.
Exactly, yes.
God,
so in One Punch Man, it's just he's already at the end of the anime and everything else has to try and catch up, I suppose, in terms of power levels. Alright guys, so we talked about One Punch Man, we talked about how it's a parody of animes, and we did an okay job. Probably not a great job, I'll be totally honest, but that's mostly my fault. So we're gonna move on.
You know what? You should just go watch One Punch Man and figure it out for yourself.
Just fucking watch it.
Just watch One Punch Man, okay? What is wrong with you?
It's fantastic.
Pause
the
podcast, we'll wait. Go watch One Punch Man, and then come right back.
Yeah.
Alright, welcome back. You've now watched One Punch Man.
It's
just
12
Google
hours later.
One Punch Man versus Deep Sea King, and you'll kind of you'll get the idea.
Give or take, you might have skipped the intro after.
You might have taken a break.
Which don't do that. Don't skip the intro.
The intro.
Skip the intro after a certain point.
It is the best part. Okay, so before we get into the domains, I just want to remind everyone: go and support us on Subscribe-treon. $600 tier or more, you get your name right at the end of the podcast.
Leave us a comment.
And now, give us 5 stars on iTunes. And now we're going to move into the domains. So the first person I'd like to do their domain is the first person I introduced on today's podcast, and that's going to be Keenan.
Hey,
so Keenan, what have you brought us today?
I'm probably gonna try to bounce back and forth. Although I'm mostly gonna focus on Kill la Kill. If you guys don't already know, I watch a lot. I watch a lot of anime.
You double domain in it right now, bruh?
Kind of. It's mostly
that's fucking unheard of.
It's mostly I'm just gonna reference Yu Hakusho now.
History of Dota.
Yeah.
Did he just walk up slowly and down smash?
The fuck. Alright, so Kill la Kill, if you haven't heard, is a 2013 anime. It actually originally was an anime before it was a manga, by Kazuki Nakashima. I really hope I'm saying those names right. Basically, it is about this vagrant schoolgirl who enrolls in this I think it's like a Hononajoi academy in this school, this private academy that's off the walls. She's there to find her father's killer, and she does that by fighting the student council members and their lackeys because they all have uniforms. Their clothing gives them superpowers, basically.
How is that going to help her find her father's killer? Was he killed by a student council member?
Well, the thing is,
she needs to collect the superpowers to help her find her father.
Is she going to stitch all the
it's
clothing
like
together?
The chaos
it's
like the Chaos Emeralds in Sonic. If you get them all, you find your missing father. That's what Sonic's about, right?
Well, actually, guys, she actually fights with half a scissor blade sword thing
to cut their clothes off.
Yes, actually, to cut their clothes off.
And now, are the student
what is
council
this- what is this
members
anime
female and buxom?
What?
Are the
No.
student council members buxom females?
Oh,
They're
Only one of
underage.
them.
They're students, dude.
Only one
I
of
don't
The
want
rest
them
of
to
them are,
be.
like, very
I'm not
much
going to
adult.
watch the anime. I'm just
But
worried about
guys,
Japan.
listen. Eventually, she finds a sailor suit that is like their outfits, but is special, and it feeds off the life fibers, which are used to make the students' outfits. It goes 1-star outfits, 2-star, 3-star outfits. Only the student council has 3-star outfits. Now listen.
Wow, they are wearing very
this is
little
a genius.
clothing.
No, this is a great parody.
Like, very little.
Well,
Okay.
exactly. That's where the
that's part of
satire
the
comes
point.
in.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Because like it does like the same thing One Punch does, and it parodies a lot of like the tropes of like fighting animes. Like one of the things is like I actually love it. Is when like anytime like something's introduced or like a power move is said, huge kanji bounce onto the screen and like slowly like spell out the name, and it's kind of great.
Awesome.
It's
Love
like
that.
and also like they actually put it as like a plot point because it's kind of like it's like why are like the anime girls always like scantily clad and shit? Well, actually in this
Especially
show,
when they're fucking underage.
yeah, basically in this show it's actually kind of funny because like they put a whole episode about how, like explaining it, quote unquote. It's that like her like ability, her like sailor suit, which by the way is sentient, is like not working right. And she's like, "Why won't you give me all your power?" It's because like, and he's like, "It's because you're embarrassed by yourself." And she's like, "What do you mean? Every time you put me on, you're so scared about being scantily clothed. You need more confidence in yourself."
I guess that's a good message to.
Yeah, no.
send out
It
there
actually like
to
it kind of takes like, and actually, guys, you'll love this. The like she eventually like starts working with like the good guys, quote unquote, who's this paramilitary terrorist organization called Nudist Beach, and they are fighting against the tyranny of this school, which are like these fascist, autocrats. Who use their power of their clothing to take over. They're trying to take over the world. And the action's really good. And like I said, I thought of it because it kind of does the same thing that One Punch does. And it kind of picks on like certain tropes and it just really like becomes a satire of it.
All right. And then did you want to... 1 second, let me find the guy.
talk about the other thingamabob.
Like 2 more minutes if you wanted to discuss briefly Yu Yu
Sure.
Hakusho.
For those of you who don't know, Yu Yu Hakusho is really the only fighting anime you need to know. It premiered, I believe, in 1990, and then it
That's old.
Yeah, no, and then eventually had an anime in 92 to 94, and then I think a couple years later, the dubbed version came out. It was one of the first really good dubs. Like, they didn't really cut out a whole lot of stuff. They kept a lot of the blood. They kept a lot of swearing. But anyway, it's the story of Yusuke Urameshi. Oh, my son. He's a teenage delinquent who in the very first episode, like the first 5 minutes, is struck and killed by a car while saving some kid's life. Listen, hold on. He then becomes a spirit. And he has to, he spends an episode or 2 making, friends with, the spirits. Gets back into his... Listen.
Ghosts fighting ghosts?
Wait a minute. It's even better. Because, you see, he's put back in his body. And then Koenma, the son of the ruler of the underworld, is like, yo, man, we actually need someone on, the human world to fight demons that escape into the human world. And so they, teach him how to do stuff. And then he goes off... fights some demons, becomes friends with a bunch of really cool demons. His rival gets involved. He's also a psychic. They then go and fight, for the world and stuff. It's amazing. It is both funny, humorous. It's both humorous, action-packed, and incredibly well-written. I would highly recommend anyone look into this if you've ever had any interest in action
I used
or
to watch
anime.
that shit on Toonami.
Dude,
Toonami was the shit.
Shit's dope, man.
I will say that. I
And
watch
Yu Yu
DBZ on that shit
Hakusho,
all the time.
I just want to bring up, because at some point I'll probably reference Yu Yu Hakusho in depth in comparing it to One Punch, in the fact that One Punch, even though it is a parody, actually does a lot of, the staples of like shonen and like action anime really well, and if not, sometimes better.
Oh,
and it kind of upsets me.
That's one of the great things about One Punch Man, and that's why I would call it a parody rather than a satire.
Yeah,
is because parody is still a part of the genre that it is, for lack of a better word, let's say criticizing. Whereas the satire would kind of separate itself. But One Punch Man not only criticizes some of the, tropes or maybe shortcomings of, fighting anime and superhero stories, but it also, the things that are good about them, it does extremely well. But Keenan, thank you so much for your domains, your double domain.
Double domain
dude, the DDD. King of
Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Divers, Drive-Ins.
This episode sponsored by Food Network. Taking you on a trip to Flavor Town.
And now, Pat. My man, my dog, my dude.
Your boy.
I would love to hear about your domain.
All right. I don't think you're ready for my domain.
I think I'm ready for it.
I'm going to tell you all about the wonderful town of Letterkenny.
Tell me about Letterkenny.
Letterkenny is a small rural town in I'm pretty sure it's in
is this
Ontario
an anime as well?
Canada. It is not an anime. This is a
live
action show.
It does have fights in it, though.
It does have a lot of fighting, which is what reminded me.
Okay.
Letterkenny is about a bunch of people who live in a small rural Canadian community in Ontario, I believe. On Hulu, highly recommend watching it, but the basic gist of it is it takes the 3 stereotypical things you think about Canadians and then puts it on a scale of massive over the top parody. So you
apologize a lot.
They do apologize a decent amount, but mostly it's you got the hockey players,
fuck
big
those guys.
hotshot hockey players. You've got
their cold opens are the best. Wayne, you got Wayne. You
got Wayne, who is a hick, if you will, but then you also have the meth heads and people who make all the drugs and shit and spread them around the town. So it's you got the hicks, you got the skids, and you got the hockey players.
Hicks, skids, and hockey players.
It's just all about their problems and how they go through life. So Wayne is the main character, if you can really identify one, but he's always just sitting by his produce stand on his farm with his sister Katie, who is usually messing around with these hockey players and shit. But they're constantly just talking in stereotypes. I'm trying to see if I can find some quotes about it, but the hockey players are always saying stupid shit "Oh, it's Snipe City, bud," going top shelf, dumb things like that. Every hockey player's name ends in the letter Y. So you got Riley and Jonesy and Sudsy and Scrubsy and Budsy and fucking whatever. They end every sentence with the word bud. It's just a really fucking funny thing. So it's just
very
go over the top for humor's sake.
Okay.
But then Wayne is known as the toughest guy in Letterkenny. And he's just this fucking hick farmer dude who goes and sits at the bar. He's super polite, will always stand up to shake your hand no matter what. And
dude, I love that guy.
Just talks in the dumbest Canadian accent.
He kind of talks like this all the time.
It's going down to the subs the other day and shit like that. So he's the toughest guy in Letterkenny. But after he got dumped by his girlfriend of 5 years, everybody's just what the fuck? This guy's a scrub. He's not tough at all. So he has to earn his toughness again by fighting every guy in the fucking
No, Eddie, it's great. There's a guy I think it was one of the cold opens. No, a guy comes into the bar, who's the toughest guy in here? And Wade just sits up and goes, "That'd be me."
That'd be me. And then he goes outside and fights him. But that's later on in the season.
Yeah.
The very first episode that this happens, he's sitting around a table with his friend Daryl and his friend Dan.
Squirrely Dan.
Squirrely Dan.
Squirrely Dan.
Squirrely Dan's telling him about all these dudes. He's just you got the joint guy, and then his friend Daryl's just why is he called the joint guy? So he explains, he just smokes a lot of joints. And then this other guy is called like the rat guy, and it's because his like ass is really hairy, like a rat. And then they talk about how bad his back acne is or whatever. And then Wayne's just like, "Is it really that bad? Like, I might have to touch that. Like, tell me about it." But it's just like it's a really funny show.
Highly recommend.
It's
Highly recommend
super
it.
good.
They get into some shenanigans, mostly fighting, mostly drinking.
I may have to check this out.
If you want like a taste,
is there a lot of seasons of this?
There's 6 seasons. I
really?
believe.
I thought there was
that
like 3.
sounds awesome. Is that on
There's
Hulu
6
or-
seasons. There are 2 per year, so it's kind of
Okay.
like it's a little weird. But
I would
It's
recommend
streaming
Eddie
on
that
Hulu.
Where
you
can one
listeners
check it
you can look
It's
up a
on
bunch of the
Hulu.
cold openings on YouTube if you want to taste.
they have a cold open, and season 2's cold open is fucking hilarious. So after that one scene that Keenan is talking about, where the guy walks into the bar and says, "Who's the toughest guy in here?" That's the end of the first season. Season 2 starts out with him recapping what happened in that fight, and he goes through it alphabetically and alliteratively. So he'll spend a whole fucking sentence on the letter A, and then his friend will say one word that starts with B, and then he'll do a whole sentence on B, and he goes through the entire fucking alphabet.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. It's incredible. The writing of the show is fan-fucking-tastic.
It's
But at
great.
the same time, he's like pretty much lovingly making fun of Ontario, because the guy who created the show is actually the guy who plays Wayne, and he grew
really?
up in rural
Ontario.
Listowel, Ontario, I believe.
Oh, of course,
But it's
Listowel.
fan-fucking-tastic.
So, Pat, what I love about the domain that you brought is that, our topic is parodying, anime. Keaton brought something that's parodying anime, and you brought something that's parodying an entire country.
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, you could say.
It's really funny, though, because they go so over the top with it. They're constantly referencing all-dressed chips, which are, like, a thing in Canada. They're talking about
What
how...
does that mean?
in
Is that like
all dressed?
Wait, let me
It's-
guess.
It's
Let me guess.
disgusting.
Is it like disco fries? Oh,
I don't know. It's a specific flavor of chips that...
like
It's like-
actual chips, not
Yeah.
like British chips. I didn't know because they still worship the Queen or
It's
whatever.
barbecue, ketchup, salt, and vinegar, all in one.
Gross.
That's gross.
So, like, that's something that they do. And then there's one scene where they're all just throwing a baseball around, and they're talking about how America doesn't have all-dressed chips, how America doesn't have malt vinegar just, like, as a condiment on every fucking table in a restaurant. And then one of the guys,
Gross.
Daryl's just like, do they have running water? Like, because it's just so baffling to them that we don't have malt vinegar.
That's great. It's
that's
pretty
It's
funny.
so fucking funny.
Yeah, Eddie, just for later, I sent you a cold opening that I think is the best cold opening.
I'll check it out.
At least it's one of the best.
But there's like constantly the 2 hockey players that are mostly in the show, Jonesy and Riley. They'll just be like in their car going to pick up Wayne's sister Katie, and they'll
Who
get in
they're
this
both
fucking
dating,
argument.
I think.
They're it's like weird. You don't really know. Maybe she's like flirting around with both of them. Maybe they're just like keeping her around because they think they have a shot with her. It's weird. But at the same time, like they'll just be sitting in their car and they'll be talking about the other hockey players on their team. They're just like, all these geezers roll their bag into the rink. The first day I roll my bag into the rink, I'm fucking quitting hockey, man. All these dumb fucking hockey things. It's so funny.
All right, Pat, thank you very much. It's a fantastic domain, top shelf. All right, Geek Bros, welcome back to the podcast. Now we're going to go into the discussion. We're going to have an open-ended discussion guided by the themes and domains mentioned thus far. And we're going to talk about the stuff that we talked about. So, Pat and Keenan, let me just real quick, and maybe bring in your domains a little bit, but what did you guys think about One Punch Man? We didn't really get into that into the summary.
Was that more of the
I
ratings? But
fucking
No, like what did you
loved
think
it.
about it? What were your thoughts? Not did you like it, or I mean, you can talk about it if you liked it, but what were your thoughts? Pat fucking loved it.
I like it to an extent. I find the joke gets
derivative.
No, it gets a little old. However, I found that if you keep watching and if you go to the manga, it actually starts to focus more on everyone else, and then it actually gets pretty interesting, in my opinion.
I will say that I would like a lot more of the Moomin Rider, for sure.
Oh well, maybe not
He's
him.
great, yeah.
But for me, like, I do not watch a lot of anime. I'm not a big anime fan. Like, I'm just starting to get into the foray of, like, I watched Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood for another episode. I'm trying to get into more anime just because I feel like I'm watching the wrong anime or I have a bad idea of what anime might be. But all of the problems, all of the stereotypes that, like, I believe might be true, that's what One Punch Man is touching on right now. And it is, like, blowing them out of proportion and showing why they're so ridiculous. But it also, like, leaves a lot of the tropes that I think are very problematic in this area. They, like, leaves it out in the fucking cold. Like, one of the things that I fucking hate is that in a lot of anime, or at least the ones that I see the most on the internet, they over-sexualize young female characters. Their voices are super fucking annoying and, like, meant to sound childlike, but then dudes will hypersexualize them and, like, make porn out of them, and that's just weird to me. Like,
well, that's with everybody. I would argue that happens with. No, what I mean is, like, everything.
Yeah,
it's always going to be weirdos. But anime does kind of do it a lot. But they find it's actually a weird study if you look at it.
Yeah, but like One Punch Man, they have small children obviously in the show, but like they don't sound overly annoying. All the female characters are like strong heroes so far, or at least they're just treated like normal fucking people.
Did you get to Fubaki yet?
I don't think so.
Fubuki? Eddie, help me out here.
Is that the psychic girl's name?
Oh, that's one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen everything up until the last 2 episodes.
So that's the interesting thing. So
cool.
I don't know if I think you would have seen this character, Pat. Because I think she shows up once or twice before.
To what's her face?
But they do have like a little girl.
She's
character.
40 or something.
I mean, but like, look at the character design. No,
I know. It's that classic.
They don't blow their eyes up like really wide
have, like,
and have
a
them sparkling and then going like,
and she's wearing like a long, like, poofy, like, dress type of garment. Like, she's not really sexualized at all, but they do still kind of keep that anime trope of, like, it's like a really small person who's, like, super powerful.
Yeah, that's fine to me. But like,
the part I'm saying that's a good thing.
Where they take a kid and sexualize them is weird to me.
That's bad, and I'm glad that it doesn't do it.
But One Punch Man as a whole is really cool because it makes fun of the anime that I actually do like Dragon Ball Z and Full Metal Alchemist with the power creep, and blows that out of proportion too. It's just like a very funny, enjoyable thing. Like Saitama's in the middle of a fight, wondering like, "Oh, what should I make for dinner tonight?
Oh crap!
Like, I have to go stop by the supermarket." Yeah, like.
So, Pat, you watched then the episode with the meteor?
Yes, I did.
And then Keenan, you maybe didn't watch it, but you read. I'm assuming that happened in the manga as well.
The meteor, yeah.
Like a big ass meteor is coming.
There's like a big meteor coming to Earth.
Which episode was that?
It's going to destroy like 2 whole cities.
It's going to at least destroy the entirety of the city that they are in, and then the fallout will reach other cities.
Yeah.
So all the heroes. Not all of them, but a ton of the heroes try to stop it or figure out ways to stop it.
No, they all fucking disappear. They leave.
No, that's true. Yeah, they're all just like, oh, those are the crappy cities anyway, so I'm not going to save them.
Yeah. Well, what about
like
Bang?
2 or 3 heroes try to stop it, right?
Yeah. So there's one like Metal Knight or whatever.
Yo, he's sketchy
though. Metal Knight is just he sends a bot out like a drone to test out weapons that he just developed. They don't do shit. Genos does his full power like arm cannon thing. That doesn't
full power Kamehameha.
So then it's just left to Saitama and the other guy, Bang. I can't even remember what his real name is, but Bang's there. He's just like fucking defending his dojo because it's been in the family for 40 years.
Dude, I love that man.
So in the process of all those other Class S heroes, those are like the top tier guys, whereas Saitama, One Punch Man, is stuck in Class C. In the midst of those guys doing all they can to stop this, Saitama goes up and punches it once, breaks it into 1,000,000 pieces, which then crash down in a meteor shower and destroy much of the city, but nobody dies. And that's very important.
And there's a city left to rebuild instead of a crater. And then it's so funny because then everyone like is mad at Saitama.
They're mad at Saitama for multiple reasons too. They're mad at him for destroying the city even though he saved all the people. They're mad at him because they think he's stealing the credit from the other heroes to try to increase his own favor. Because part of the way that you get from being a Class C hero to a Class S hero is you, A, do heroic things, but then B, you have to be popular. Like, you have to have a component of the general population that, like, adores you and sends you fan mail and says all this popular, positive stuff on the internet.
And that's another thing that's funny about Saitama is the reason
he doesn't care.
In Class C is because when they took the hero exam, he, like, you know, off the charts all the physical stuff, and then he basically failed the pen and paper test.
Yeah, he was so he was so good at the physical stuff that like it completely compensated. So he got like the lowest grade though.
He got 71.
Like,
he got 71 out of 100.
Yeah.
And the lowest you can get is 70 in order to qualify for a hero.
Yeah.
But so that's the thing, right?
He's
Pat,
a dummy.
Is one of the other things that One Punch Man does, and then I do want to get into some of the domains. I don't want to spend all the time only talking about One Punch Man, even though that was the main topic. Is that it because you have like, you know, Saitama, you know, he's the most powerful and he does all this heroic stuff, but then like, you know, he doesn't get the credit for it, and people don't really like him that much. And he doesn't get respect. And so it kind of takes one of the things about like a lot of these anime and, you know, even just any superhero type of thing where this is powerful characters, there's a bit of like wish fulfillment stuff where people can be like, yeah, I would be that guy, you know? Yeah. And now it's like, you know, you have the guy who's the most powerful character and everyone kind of fucking dislikes him, you know? Yeah, like, Saitama's a cheat, you know?
Well, no it's because Saitama is just about that smoke, all right? Let's be perfectly honest. He's here to fade people, and that's it.
Well, he also just, like, gains the ire of his other Class C heroes, who he is now leapfrogging because he's doing such heroic things.
Like the Tank Top brothers.
The Tank Top bros. You got Tiger.
And what was it, Black Tank Top or Medium Black Hole Tank Top?
Tank Top dude.
By the way, their superhero names are really like, oh, okay, I get it now.
And that's another funny thing is because it's like in One Punch Man, there are people who actually have like powers and stuff.
Like actual powers.
And then
there's a ton of heroes that are just people.
The dude who rides his bicycle.
That is like
the cyclist for justice. Yeah.
So a big part of being a Class C hero, too, is that you need to fit a weekly quota of if you don't have any heroic deeds in a week, you get, like, taken out and you have to retake the test. So a big part of the beginning of One Punch Man is him, like, there's one episode where he has to just run around and try to find something heroic to do.
But, like, yeah, at the moment, like, everything's calm, so he's just, like...
But then Sonic tries to fuck him up, right? Or am I mixing?
Yeah, Sonic wants to fight
Sonic. Oh man, that's a whole nother character.
What a trap!
Fucking Naruto shows up.
One Sasuke.
He's got the creepiest fucking smile ever.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to like him. I'll be honest.
I know. Well, it's just like the creepiest I really like. Smile.
Oh, and there's the whole fucking like the communists episode.
I don't know if I got to the communists yet.
Which one?
Yeah, they're in the same episode of Speed of Sound Sonic. It's like the dudes, they're all like bald and
you're talking about like what was his name?
The guys who don't want to work, yeah.
And they're like, we don't want to work. The government should.
Yeah, they're. I hated that though because his name was Hammerhead, and I didn't understand why his name was Hammerhead.
Because his head is so thick.
I mean, yeah, his head is so thick.
Like it's as hard as a hammer.
That's not.
Yeah.
Okay, I kept thinking shark. Oh, okay, I kept thinking shark.
That guy turns his life around and gets a job too.
He does. I'm proud of him.
I thought he gets killed.
No, so that's the thing. Is like they think they killed him on 2 separate occasions, but he's really just playing dead, and he's like, "Thank you, Mom, for giving me such a thick skull."
So, Keaton, why don't you talk a little bit about, you know, how you would kind of relate Kill la Kill to One Punch Man? You did a little in the domain.
Well, it's because
hit me a little bit more. Spice it up.
Like I said, it takes it takes a lot of it. It actually kind of like points out. It addresses a lot of concerns that people have. And I think that's kind of like something that One Punch does. Because, like, for example, in Kill la Kill with the whole magical girl and, like, the fighting, you know, anime, there's always some, you know, there's always some chick running around who's, like, you know, like a high schooler. Because, like, that's the thing. Most of this takes place at the high school. And like I said, it's run like it's not run like a high school. It's run like a military academy. That's, like, it like literally like, they go on like do like a sports festival against a different school at one point, and and it cuts to it, and it's literally like a battle between like opposing forces with tanks and like people exploding and stuff. It's like, yes, we will crush all the schools in Japan. And it kind of, like I said, it ramps up the absurdity of like how like some animes are like, yeah, this is all at a high school. It's like, but it's just high school, you know. And like I said, the student council, like when the president, she's like the main antagonist for a while, Satsuki. And like the way you first meet her is like she's literally at the top of like this 50-story building, and the light is like shining behind her, and like everyone is bowing down to her, and she's like, "All people, humans are pigs in human clothing." And like I said, it's just ramped up the absurdity, and I would highly recommend all of it. But like I said, it kind of brings to forefront these things, because like I said, it's like when you watch these shows that like have like all this like action, but they're still high schoolers, and like it happens in the high school, you always kind of have to question like, is this really like this? It's just a high school though, like they're just high schoolers. It also does that with, like as I said earlier, like as like Pat pointed out too, like like the sexualization of like some people's outfits. Like, there's no way that's like practical, and they actually make a whole episode about actually the reason why the outfits like this. I think it's kind of funny because, like I said, most of the time people just kind of like pass it off. It's a classic, the bikini armor you see a lot in fantasy. You know, it's like, well, that's not really practical.
If you get hit anywhere other than the boobs or the vag,
yeah, you're gonna be pretty. There's a lot of skin there. I could just kind of shank. So this show gives Betoy, the main girl, like she's in this, and like I said, there's a whole episode about how she's not like it's not working right, and it's all about how she's not confident in herself, and that she doesn't trust the sailor suit, who, like I said, is sentient. And so, like I said, it kind of takes like those ideas, and parodies them by ramping them up, and then also it addresses them, kind of like in the way that like One Punch addresses the fact that he's like OP, and how everyone else why isn't he being treated a certain way because he's like OP, and it kind of like makes fun of that, because in reality, because it's kind of like, how, yeah, Goku's OP, but like, how come no one addresses it?
Yeah, exactly.
So they do that by ramping it up. And the other thing but also the reason why I brought up Yu Yu Hakusho is because One Punch also does the things I really love about action, which is mainly the fights, really well. Like, I kind of
beautifully animated.
Honestly, I hate it. Like, I honestly hate it because because my contemporary action animes released at the same time are sometimes not on that level. I'm like, should we really be focusing on that for One Punch? Like, oh man, it just gets me angry, man. I don't know.
Yeah, they so like smoothly and beautifully edit together these fights where it's
beautifully animated. It's so meticulous.
and it's so good because like all this stuff is happening, and we know how it ends. Every fight, no matter how long the fight is, we know how it ends.
You guys want to
Saitama punching someone one time?
But guys, it's great. Yeah, I'm going to talk about a little bit more about One Punch real quick before.
Okay.
Just
real quick, and then I got a question for Patrick.
Yeah, I just want to say, if you guys read the webcomic where it originated, it is doodles. It's terribly drawn. Fun fact.
But it's got such good art now.
No. But that's the beauty of it, because people complained that there wasn't good enough. So when they made the jump to manga, they made these really in-depth, beautiful landscapes for everything. And like every once in a while you'll read something, it's like literally just zoomed out, and it's like the whole city highly detailed, and each like entire page is just a zoom in slightly for it. And
then Saitama still looks...
No. Yeah, every once in a while Saitama still has
like
that
a
face.
Doodle.
But
I really want someone to superimpose that scene from the SpongeBob movie when they take the crown off of King Neptune, and everybody's just like, bald.
But guys, listen, people complained again because they were like, "Oh, it's so good. Why can't we get more of it?" And so the creators were like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you wanted hyper realistic, well drawn manga. So we're gonna take another 3 months to make this next chapter, okay?"
Yeah.
It was so petty, and I loved it.
Well, and that's something that I love about the anime though, is that you always have all these like super like detailed like main characters with all these like little things about them and their
And
outfit
like,
and
yeah,
costumes. And
just a dude.
Saitama is in the most basic costume you could get, and he's just this bald guy, and his face is a few lines, you know, like
He's got a yellow jumpsuit with red gloves, red boots, and a white cape.
And then when it gets into an action scene, though, he suddenly becomes this like highly detailed and well.
Oh yeah, like
character.
like him biting the knife, like he's just a doodle, and then he bites the knife that like no one saw coming at him, and it's like, oh shit.
Saitama sees everything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He just is everything. Okay.
So Pat, I wanted to talk to you about so comedy. Is and humor is a huge part of parody. And the thing that you brought us, Letterkenny, that's like its main focus. Is on the comedy. So do you want to talk about that a little bit, the comedic elements maybe that you pulled out of One Punch Man, and how you can relate that to Letterkenny?
So the thing that I mostly saw is, with all things, at the root of all comedy is a sense of like admiration or love for whatever you're making fun of. So One Punch Man is making fun of anime, like parodying it and showing what's ridiculous about it, but at its core, it's kind of like a love story to certain parts of anime. Like, everybody always, let's take Comedy Central roasts, for example. Like, they'll pick a celebrity to get roasted, and then they'll have all their friends come in and say jokes and make fun of them for certain things, but deep down they know it's like out of love, it's appreciation, and that's what Letterkenny is. It's a love story to this guy's childhood. He's kind of showing the world the most ridiculous, over-the-top version of his hometown, but it's lovable, it's relatable, you get a kick out of it, like, it's entertaining. So, to me, making fun of something is the biggest form of flattery you can possibly do. Like, if you can poke fun at something and show how ridiculous it is, but then still have it be enjoyable, like, it's a good thing, you know?
Yeah. And so, Pat, did you find One Punch Man humorous?
I laughed my ass off on several occasions at One Punch Man. Like, particularly when he's not really, like,
fighting people.
Even when he's fighting, like, and he's just not taking it seriously because he's just so fucking powerful. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go to the grocery store after this. I'm gonna buy some noodles. Like, let's go get some udon. Like, in the middle of a fight, he's just like, hey, yo, Genos, do you like udon noodles? Like,
and that's what I love too, is like Saitama's biggest like challenges, like the greatest enemies that he faces,
like
are mundane problems.
And his fly.
Like missing the sale at the grocery store, or
swatting a fly,
yeah. And so that's something that I think is really great about it, is it kind of flips the whole thing on its head. So Letterkenny, I thought, sounded super interesting, and I definitely want to check it out a little bit. But so in that show, you have the guy who's like the biggest, toughest, fightingest guy.
Yeah, you have Wayne, who's like, on the surface, he just looks like a dude who works on a farm, tucks in his shirt, is super.
So he's a Saitama-esque character.
A little bit.
He's very plain, but
he does look tough though.
So he looks tough in the sense that, like, he smokes cigarettes and drinks beer, like,
he's built,
chugs whiskey. He's pretty built. He's got biceps, but he's super nice. He's polite. He doesn't really go out of his way. He will only fight you like mano a mano in a fair like situation, not on his property to like make his sister get involved. Like, they just stay at the end of his driveway. He's just a very respectable kind of dude. And he doesn't really get mad at anything unless you fuck with his family, and then he gets pissed, which is kind of the same as here. Saitama doesn't show a lot of emotion, but then there's one scene where in the Deep Sea King, he's on his way to the city to help out. Genos is already there, and he hears an announcement that a Class S hero has been killed or like defeated. But he doesn't know which Class S hero that was. He thinks it might be Genos. So he shows up to the Deep Sea King fight, and immediately he sees Genos on the ground, and before he even like addresses the Deep Sea King, he makes sure that Genos is okay.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He's a good dude. He cares about his family, which is also what Wayne does. He just loves his sister very much, even though she kind of like is a little bit too promiscuous for him. But it's just like, it's the reaction that he has. There's one scene in particular in one of the episodes that I just watched recently where one of the drug dealers, his name is Stewart, makes a deal with a more big time drug dealer in order to make a little bit extra money. He ends up screwing the girl over, and to get revenge while she is still not getting paid, she starts to like just set Letterkenny ablaze. She'll fuck with pretty much everybody, trash houses, set things on fire. So she ends up setting the produce stand at Wayne's farm on fire, and he does not like this very much. He doesn't even fucking like Stewart, because Stewart is turning his town into a meth town. So it boils over with all three sides. You got Wayne, the drug dealers, and even the hockey players are mad at Stewart for making it a meth town because he's fucking with the rookies. The rookies on the team are now puking in practice. They have the jitters. It's crazy. So they all come to a head. Wayne ends up paying off the drug dealer to leave Letterkenny alone. Even though he hates Stewart with all his guts, he still has so much appreciation for the town of Letterkenny that he will give up $5,000 of his own money just to keep that city safe.
Yeah.
It's like they're both the heroes of the story, and I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, he's great. I think also, like I said, I think when you really want to like parody something, you have to have like a lot of love with it.
Yeah.
And I think that the same people who made like Kill la Kill and like One Punch and Letterkenny all really love their media, their chosen things. And I think parody has always been, in my opinion, an act of love, and even satire by extensions, because parody is supposed to say, look how ridiculous we are, and then satire is like, come on, guys, we can be better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like satire has more of like a desire to change something, whereas parody is just trying to be funny.
Yeah, point out something. Yeah, like I feel like,
exactly.
But I think, like I said, it's still like, yeah, it's still pointing out like for Kill la Kill, it was like, guys, this is ridiculous. Maybe we should do something about this. At least that's what I always like felt. And then, like I said, the parody's very much like, this is, everyone thinks Canadians are this, but this is what really Canadians are times 10, or like One Punch is just like, guys, I know it's stupid, but like, don't you just love that one punch?
There's like an episode of Letterkenny that also sort of satires social media. They, out of the blue, get this idea to have a website where you can record your farts for posterity and share them with your friends, and they call it Fart Book. So everybody starts just like getting Fart Book accounts, and Wayne's just like not about it.
Dude, I'd get a Fart Book account.
Yeah. It's very funny. Letterkenny as a whole is just an amazing piece of entertainment.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend everybody go watch it.
Thank you both for an discussion. Now...
The fuck is that supposed to be?
Okay, wait, hold on. Let me go back. Let me restart. Let me
why don't you
restart
that?
Wait,
I
let
think
me take
instead
the scene
you
again.
should just say insert adjective here. Discussion.
That's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Let me take the scene again, okay? From the top. Brr, brr, brr. Unique New York. Unique.
The Human Torch
New
was
York.
denied a bank loan.
Okay, here we go. Thank you both for an adjective discussion. Now we move on to the rating section, and we begin by having each of our representatives, that's you two, rate the topic on a scale of 1 to 5
punches.
I would say push-ups, but all right.
Push-ups?
Yeah.
1 to 5.
I feel like punches is just so good for this.
Sure.
No, because then you'd want to give it one punch if it's the best.
True.
True. So
me.
1 to 5 anime tropes. Yeah.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 5 anime tropes.
All right.
So, Keenan, why don't you kick us off, buddy?
All right. On a scale of
think of
1 to
One Punch
5 anime tropes, I'm probably going to give it like 3.5 anime tropes.
Damn.
So like, there's a girl who's actually 10,000 years old, but she looks, fucking 12. There's some guy with glasses that when he pushes it up, they got a swing. There's the airhead delinquent who, always seems to walk with a permanent, like, lurch forward movement. He's always, like, slunched over. And then, like, half...
And these are negatives, or...?
No, these are all tropes. But because I really like the animation. The animation is beautifully solid. The story is ridiculous and comedic, although, frankly, I think that One Punch gets way better later. From what we see, we don't see the best of it, which is actually when they really take time to develop the characters, and kind of make the situations where One Punch wins much better, which is why I would rate it as such.
All right, well, Keenan, I appreciate your honesty, if not the number that you gave my topic. Patrick, why don't you weigh in?
This is not a very common thing for me.
Isn't it?
This is not Christmas music.
It is the common geeking program.
No, let me finish my thought.
Okay.
Dog.
All right.
It's gonna blow your mind here, right?
All right.
It's not a very common thing for you.
This is not common for me. I usually try to reserve this for special, super cool occasions. But I am giving One Punch Man the elusive 5 anime tropes.
Oh shit! I thought you were gonna go 0.
I want you to edit in the One Punch part of the theme song there when he does that. Oh my goodness, Patrick. I'm flattered.
Not only is this show so expertly crafted, in my opinion, to make an anime hater such as myself love this show and actually consider watching more anime that no other anime show could have possibly done to me. The music is fan-fucking
Music's pretty good, can't lie.
Like, I legitimately want that soundtrack on Apple Music, alright? Colin, make that happen. Go tell Apple next time you're at work to put the One Punch Man soundtrack on Apple Music.
Just do
Thank
it,
you.
Colin.
Love you. Anyway, the music is fantastic. The art is fantastic. The humor, the writing, everything is so good that this is one of my favorite television shows of all time. Like, I love it that much. There's only one season out, and I cannot wait for the second season. It's just amazing. Incredible. I love it.
Pat, thank you so much for your kind words.
Thank you for making me watch this show.
Of course, man. Yeah, and you know what? Maybe I lied about the ending and didn't spoil it.
Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe.
Ending. That's not the real ending. There's stuff after that. Because the One Punch Man's not about the fights.
One Punch Man is all about the fight.
So anyway, thank you for the ratings. Great job, everyone. Next up in the podcast, I am going to give out our Gold Star Student Award to the Gold Star Student.
Oh, shit.
The person who did the best. The person who related it to their domain the best. The person who brought up the best insightful discussion points. The person who, killed it this episode. I mean, you both killed it, so I'll take that criteria away.
We're murderers.
The person who did the best. It doesn't mean the other person did bad. It just means one person did better. And what I will be awarding to this Gold Star student, the person who did
golden
the best,
golden coupon.
I will be giving them the golden One Punch.
Oh, I thought it'd be a coupon.
So, without further ado, let me just evaluate the candidates briefly. So, Pat, you brought up Letterkenny. You told me a lot about it. It is very likely going to make me go watch the show after we finish this recording.
Hell yeah.
Keenan, I already checked out Yu Yu Hakusho back in the day on Toonami.
It's
Never watched Kill la Kill. I'm going to be honest, it didn't look that interesting. But now that I kind of know what it's about and that it's like, a parody and not just a straight up, the thing. I thought it was the things that it's,
no, it's
making fun of,
straight up,
and that's why I wasn't interested in it. But now that I know it's literally the opposite of that, I'll probably check Kill la Kill out at some point.
It's so funny, bro. Watch the dub.
You both brought up good things. I think I liked Pat's domain a little bit better. I'll be honest. That said, Keenan, I think that you you gave me a little bit better points in the discussion. Maybe it was because you also brought an anime to the table. Pat looks really sad. Oh no.
Wait, does this mean I got it? Or...
So I'm gonna be awarding the Golden One Punch to Keenan Kodesh.
Ah, yes. I mean, I gratefully accept.
I thought that my comparison between Wayne and Saitama was so insightful.
That was good. It was good.
It was really good.
How am I ever going to keep the throne now?
I don't know, man. We'll have to see what happens in the future. But, Keenan, if you'd like to give a short acceptance speech or something.
I deserved it. Boom.
And there you go. Keenan Kodesh, the podcaster for justice.
Most humble.
Pat, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sad.
Wait, I'm confused. Were you still like,
I'm not in the lead anymore.
Neither am I. What are you talking about?
Yeah, but I was in the lead.
You're still in the lead.
But what he's saying is now another episode will be recorded that doesn't. Anyway, that about wraps it up for us in the Common Geeking Program studios, where we all gather together each time we record an episode. Pat, I'd like to shake your hand, and Keenan, yours. Thank you both for being here today. Put in a handshaking sound effect so they think we're in a studio. Thank you very much. I have been your dutiful host, Edward Infinity Gauntlet Ryan.
If that means full of duty.
And you can find me at Shadow Realm Escapist Meetups. You can also find me on Twitter at Fake Eddie Ryan. I occasionally retweet memes. I don't do a lot else there, I'll be totally honest. Again, I've been joined by Keenan Kodesh.
What's up?
I've been joined by...
It's me, Keenan. Once again, still looking over all of you as a benevolent deity. I think I'm going to move back into the violent autocrat persona pretty soon, so keep a lookout for that. What's up?
And where can we find you, Keenan?
Once again, you can find me knocking on your door because I'm coming for you. I'm a violent autocrat.
He's coming all right.
I'll find something about you and I'll persecute it.
I think you're coming enough for all of us.
I bet I'll come in your...
And our celebrity guest this week,
Alan Rickman, once again. Such great points. Who knew he was such an anime fan?
Yeah, it's your boy, Pat. You can find me on Twitter at Pat, the Common Geeking Program Podcast Dude Official. I'm an influencer. DM me for all business inquiries. I will possibly retweet what you want me to retweet for the specific price that we agree on. And I will most definitely accept free samples. Thank you.
Next episode is going to be hosted by probably one of you guys, right?
It's me. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Next episode is going to be hosted by
Chaboy,
Patrick Bram, and Pat. What are we going to be talking about on that episode?
So that episode is going to be about anthology series with the specific focus on the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which is now out on Netflix. It's very funny. You should watch it.
Most of it's good.
Well, you should have been on it.
I know. Pat, thank you so much for telling us that information. Listener, dear listener, I'm a little rusty from being in the Shadow Realm for so long, so do forgive us for... Well, actually, I guess I'll edit out all the pauses in the episode. Yeah. So, dear editor, please forgive us for all the pauses you had to edit out this episode. And dear listener, be sure to tune in 2 weeks. That's right, count them. Not 1, not 2, but 2 weeks from now.
We're bi-weekly. It's exactly. 2019.
We've moved. It's 2019 now. It's the current year. We gotta get up with the times, and we gotta go bi-weekly. Anyways, thanks for listening, subscribing, sharing, buying our merch, going to our sponsor websites,
defending us against our various criminal accusations,
sending us fan mail,
destroying our enemies,
breaking us out of prison.
Oh, thank you so much for breaking us out of prison, and thank you for loving yourself.
I love it.
And we'll talk to you next week.
This episode of the Common Geeking Program was hosted by Eddie Ryan, joined by Representatives Pat Brem and Keenan Kodish. This episode is sponsored by Unnecessary Pauses. Thanks a bunch, guys. The podcast is created and produced by Colin Ketchen and Jeff Leavitt, with this episode edited by me, Matt Canavan, and by Timel Chaudhary, or Chowder, whichever you prefer, and original music by Colin Ketchen. We'd love for you to stay engaged with us at Geeking Program or #CGP. Reviews on Apple Podcasts are also a critical help for growing the show, and we'll read new reviews on the air. If you want to know more about us and all our works, head to commongeekingprogram.com. Stay in touch, stay tuned, and thank you for listening.
Guys, give me just 1 second.
Okay.
That's rough. He's gonna Google it now.
Nope, he turned his screen off. He's taking his shirt off.
Oh shit, man.
Oh, Lord.
Is this allowed? Can you do this on a podcast?